Good morning, sunshine. So, this morning, I want to have another conversation that has a lot of really good information in it. So, yesterday, we talked about retraining your taste buds so that you learn to love, you get more enjoyment out of whole foods and really reduced sugars and reduced salts. A lot of our processed foods these days have higher amounts of salt and sugars than we need. And the reason why they do that is because it creates a chemical reaction within our body that releases endorphins, and it does cause an addiction. It is a chemical reaction. And so retraining our taste buds is very helpful. And when we retrain our taste buds, we can open ourselves up to so much more in the way of vitamins and minerals. And so I want to talk today about vitamins and minerals, really. We're going to talk about 4. It's going to be A, D, E, and K. And all of these are fat-soluble vitamins. And that's important to know because our body will only break them down and absorb them into our system when there are some fats that go along with them. Which makes sense because we'll get into that in a minute. Before we get into why that makes sense, let me tell you what it is that they do for us, because that's going to be really important too. So vitamin A, it is for our vision. It helps us see clearly in low light. It's really important in maintaining our eye health. It's also really good for our immune system and our skin. So if you are wanting to see better and have really beautiful skin, vitamin A is a very important vitamin to have. Vitamin D, we also think of as the sunshine vitamin because we can get it from natural sunlight, but it helps our bodies absorb calcium. And that's really crucial for building strong bones. It also plays a role in our immune system and our muscle health. So vitamin D is also a really important vitamin to make sure that we are getting plenty of. It's going to help with our strength and our resilience, really. It's going to make sure that we have strong muscles to support our bones and strong bones so that we don't end up with, a lot of injuries. So vitamin D, we can get it from the sun, but we can get it from foods as well. And then we've got vitamin E. So a lot of people have heard about vitamin E. This is a antioxidant vitamin. It helps protect our cells from damage and free radicals. It also supports our immune system and helps with blood circulation. So if hypertension, high blood pressure are things that you have concerns about, vitamin E is a really good vitamin to have as part of your diet. So remember that when we get around to talking about what kind of foods will help you with that. And then the last one we're talking about today is vitamin K. This one is also really good for our blood health. It helps with clotting to make sure that you're processing that okay, to stop bleeding if you do get injured, get scraped up. It's also going to help with your bones, making sure that they're strong, but it plays a great role in heart disease. Hello, I hope I don't butcher this. If I do, please forgive me. But I think it's pronounced Gillian. So what I am talking about this morning, good morning over on YouTube, is we're talking about fat-soluble vitamins specifically and how they can help us out. Yesterday we were talking about retraining our taste buds, and this morning we're going to be talking about some of these vitamins, why they're really important, and what foods we can get them out of. And all of this kind of goes together because if we can retrain our taste buds to find more joy in eating these foods, we can support better overall health. And a lot of these are vitamins that end up being stripped out of a lot of highly processed foods. And so getting them from whole food sources is really important. I'm glad that this is a good conversation for you right now, because a lot of this will help you when you are sick. I used to get sick, pretty sick, like twice a year, and like it would last for long periods of time. When I started making changes to my diet, getting more whole foods in, I don't suffer the same way that I used to. Now, I do get sick, but it's usually for a day, maybe two. Good morning, Mike. So good to see you over there on Facebook. And I do think a lot of that has to do with switching to a whole food diet and making sure that I am getting a variety to get all of these vitamins in. So those are the vitamins that are fat soluble. So let's first talk about good fats versus bad fats, because there's been a lot of research done over monosaturated fats, polysaturated fats. I'm not going to get into all of that because you don't need to know what most of that is. What's really important is understanding that just like with whole foods, the more natural the source is, the better it's going to be for us. And sources like olive oil, canola oil, vegetable oils, these are going to be the best sources of fat to support our overall health and for us to have presence when we are looking to bring, vitamin A, D, E, and K into our system. I'm really sorry that you were that sick and that you were throwing up so much. That definitely is not in any kind of fun. So let's talk about where we can get some of these vitamins that we're talking about. So starting with vitamin A, this is our vitamin to help with our eye health and our skin health. And that is like orange or yellow fruits or vegetables, dark leafy greens, and eggs are really good sources for this. And one of the things that I do on a regular basis is I usually have spinach in with my egg scramble in the morning, and I accompany that with bell peppers. And I tend to like the bell peppers that are the orange, the yellow, and the red because they have a lot of really good vitamin C in them as well. And so that's an easy way to be able to get everything that you need right there. And eggs have a source of fat that help you break that down. So you don't really need to add any additional fats or oils if you are having like spinach and an egg scramble. So There are different levels of processing, Mike. Canola is processed, but it doesn't require a lot of the high heat processing that some of the others do. So I don't know if you've ever heard of cold pressing, but like a lot of the olive oils especially, they are really huge with like advertising that they are a cold pressed oil. And olive oil really is the best option. It doesn't do very well at high heat. Some of the others do better at high heat. But what processing it takes to get canola oil is not the same level as it takes to get others. And everything is on a scale, right? There's no good, there's no bad. There is this scale of these are like the better options, and it all depends on what you're comparing it to. And if you're comparing it to like hydrogenated oils, canola is fantastic. If you're comparing it to like lard, it's still fantastic. If you're comparing lard to hydrogenated oils, it then reaches fantastic. So it really depends on what it is that you're comparing it to. Because again, good and bad, not really a thing. Better, this is where the scale goes into. And then you always have to know what it is that you're comparing it to. So Mike also says green bell peppers don't agree with him, as well as the orange and the red. Green bell peppers have a tendency to have a little bit more capsaicin in them, so they can be a bit spicier, which does trigger for a lot of people. But orange and red bell peppers are also higher in vitamin C, so they're a really good option. Avocado oil is really good, and it has a higher cooking point. It can be a little bit pricey, so that can be a concern for a lot of people. But it's definitely a good option. So let's talk about vitamin D real quick. So vitamin D, we do get it from the sun. But we also can get it from fatty fish like salmon, tuna, mackerel, sardines. It's available in egg yolks. And if you think about it, like this is a fat-soluble vitamin, and the food sources that we can get it in tend to have a little bit of fat with them as well. But these are also better options of fat. Most of the fatty fishes have omega-3s and omega-6s, which make them a really good source of fat, as well as the vitamin D. So this goes back into retraining our taste buds that we were talking about yesterday, because there are so many people that I know who, when you start talking about fish, they're like, I don't wanna, and I get it. I didn't used to be a big fan of fish either, but I have retrained my taste buds, and now I enjoy fish on a regular basis. And it is a huge boost to my health and being able to have energy and feel better. It is absolutely worth retraining your taste buds to enjoy the foods that are going to be rich in the vitamins that we need to thrive. We can survive without them, but it's a lot harder to thrive without them. So the next vitamin that I want to talk about is vitamin E. This is available in nuts, seeds, vegetable oils, and leafy greens. So almonds, sunflower seeds, hazelnuts, peanuts, oils that come from all of these sources. Wow, I can speak, I swear. Also great places to get them. But again, your leafy greens. Leafy greens have a greater variety of vitamins than a lot of other vegetables. So I highly recommend figuring out which of the leafy greens are your favorites and including them in all kinds of meals. Spinach, kale, Swiss chard. Spinach happens to be my favorite. Collard greens, also a pretty good one. You can add those in. But these are a great source. They're a great source of vitamin K as well, which is the last vitamin that we're talking about today. In addition to the dark leafy greens, you can get it in cruciferous vegetables. So that's all of your broccoli, your Brussels sprouts, your cauliflowers. It's available in fish and eggs as well as beef and liver. So those are all sources of vitamin K and really helpful for the blood clotting, your heart health, and they play a role in bone health as well. So I mentioned earlier, if you weren't with me, that it makes sense that these 4 vitamins are fat-soluble vitamins because they are found in a lot of foods that have good, healthy fats in them as well. And it really does help our body to be able to absorb them. So my real hope for today is that you will see how beneficial it is to have dark leafy greens as part of your daily choices, that you are getting in like those peppers, those mushrooms. I don't know if I mentioned mushrooms, but mushrooms are a good source of vitamin D. Fishes are an excellent source for multiple of these vitamins and good healthy fats. So if you start retraining your taste buds to enjoy a lot of these foods, you get an overall health boost, and it really is easy and enjoyable. There are so many great options available. I talked about doing the egg scrambles with the bell peppers and the spinach. But doing a lot of different things. Okay, so more ways to eat and enjoy some of these foods, right? So fish. Let's talk about that for just a second. There's lots of really great ways that we can have that. Some of the ways that we can incorporate some of these other things that we were talking about is if you do a quinoa, which is like a grain, and we're having that with fish, you can actually like prepare your quinoa and then you can saute like bell peppers, onions. I would probably go with kale for this one. You can chop up kale and saute that with your other vegetables. Do that in a nice olive oil, and I'm trying to think if there's any other vegetables I'd add into it. You know, you could probably add some of those cruciferous vegetables. Some shredded Brussels sprouts would actually be delicious in this as well. Saute those all up, get them to a nice, tender, crispy, slightly brown. It gets to be a little bit nutty. And then you saute in the quinoa with your vegetables, and then you can have the fish on top of that. And it kind of creates this all-in-one meal that everything is melded together. And when you have your vegetables mixed in with the quinoa and they're all kind of cooked together, think of it like a stir fry, but make it vegetable heavy. You want your vegetables to be a good chunk of that. That's going to be a delicious meal. It's also going to be super healthy for you and full of vitamins and minerals that you need. And it's a great way to incorporate it. I'm not really sure why or when we decided that our vegetables were going to be on this side and our meat was going to be over here and our starch was going to be over here and nothing was going to touch. And I get it. There are people out there that not only is that their jam, but that's their preferred way to do things. But I've always been a big fan of like mixing things up and getting a little bit of multiple flavors in every little bite. I very much enjoy that. So don't hold that against me. But I've gone a little long today, but I wanted to share a lot of this great information that I have been getting. I hope you guys have found it helpful. I appreciate all of the comments that you had coming in. And I would love to hear, like, what are some ways that you would incorporate all of these foods? So if you're watching this later, drop it in the comments. Like, how would you incorporate some of these things that we've talked about today into your daily meals? And with that, I am going to wrap this up, and I hope I will see you guys next time.